I was always only speaking in jest, said Obiarika. In Abame and Aninta, the title is worth less than 2 cowries. Every man wears the thread of title on his ankle and does not lose it even if he steals. They have indeed soiled the name of Ozo, said Okonkwo, as he rose to go. It will not be very long now before my in-laws come, said Obiarika. I shall return very soon, said Okonkwo, looking at the position of the sun. There were 7 men in Obiarika's hut when Okonkwo returned. The suitor was a young man of about 25, and with him were his father and uncle. On Obiarika's side were his 2 elder brothers and Maduka, his 16-year-old son. Ask Akweke's mother to send us some kola nuts, said Obiarika to his son. Maduka vanished into the compound like lightning. The conversation at once centered on him, and everybody agreed that he was as sharp as a razor. I sometimes think he is too sharp, said Obiarika, somewhat indulgently. He hardly ever walks. He's always in a hurry. If you are sending him on an errand, he flies away before he has heard half of the message. You were very much like that yourself, said his eldest brother. As our people say, when mother cow is chewing grass, its young ones watch its mouth. Maduka has been watching your mouth. As he was speaking, the boy returned, followed by Akweke's half-sister, carrying a wooden dish with his 3 kola nuts and alligator pepper. She gave the dish to her father's eldest brother and then shook hands very shyly with her suitor and his relatives. She was about 16 and just ripe for marriage. Her suitor and his relatives surveyed her young body with expert eyes as if to assure themselves that she was beautiful and ripe. She wore a coiffure which was done up into a crest in the middle of her head. Camwood was rubbed lightly in her skin, and all over her body were black patterns drawn with woolly. She wore a black necklace which hung down in 3 coils just above her full succulent breasts. On her arms were red and yellow bangles, and on her waist 4 or 5 rows of jigida or waist beads. When she had shaken hands, or rather held out her hand to be shaken, she returned to her mother's hut to help with the cooking. Remove your jigida first, her mother warned as she moved near the fireplace to bring the pistol resting against the wall. Every day I tell you that jigida and fire are not friends, but you would never hear. You grew your ears for decoration, not for hearing. One of these days, your jigida will catch fire on your waist, and then you would know. Akweke moved to the other end of the hut and began to remove the waist beads. It had to be done slowly and carefully, taking each string separately, else it would break, and the 1,000 tiny rings would have to be strung together again. She rubbed each string downwards with her palms until it passed the buttocks and slipped down to the floor around her feet. The men in the Obi had already begun to drink the palm wine which Akweke's suitor had brought. It was a very good wine and powerful, for in spite of the palm fruit hung across the mouth of the pot to restrain the lively liquor, white foam rose and spilled over. That wine is the work of a good tapper, said Okonkwo. The young suitor, whose name was Ibe, smiled broadly and said to his father, "Do you hear that?" He then said to the others, "He will never admit that I am a good tapper." "He tapped 3 of my best palm trees to death," said his father, Okego. "That was about 5 years ago," said Ibe, who had begun to pour out the wine, "before I learned how to tap." He filled the first horn and gave it to his father. Then he poured out for the others. Okonkwo brought out his big horn from the goatskin bag, blew into it to remove any dust that might be there, and gave it to Ibe to fill. As the men drank, they talked about everything except the thing for which they had gathered. It was only after the pot had been emptied that the suitor's father cleared his voice and announced the object of their visit. Obiarike then presented to him a small bundle of short broomstick. Okegbu counted them. "They are 30. Obiarike nodded in agreement. "We are at least getting somewhere," Okegbu said, and then turning to his brother and his son, he said, "Let us go out and whisper together." The three rose and went outside.